Hello, hello. Howdy Friday, everybody. Here we are in Peace Home Studio, and I've got some fun things to show you today. Again, here's our co-host. I haven't really given her a name yet, but she is so mischievous. She's been getting into trouble the minute I put her little eyes in place. And she's got a nice dress. She's got the bloomers, the whole shebang. You guys know how that goes. I've given her a little side glance, kind of like those Cupies we were talking about not too long ago. I've still got some things I'd like to do. I'd like to do a few more things with her hair, give her some accessories, give her some really nice little bits and pieces on her dress, make her look like she's about to get into something, because that's what we like. That's what we like. A good story. I'm always up for a good story. This time of year, it's August 2nd. August is a hot time, yes, but after August comes September, and we start scurrying around getting ready. I saw squirrels this morning doing squirrel things in my yard. Squirrels are so weird. Two different squirrels. One had a small nut in his mouth. Another one had a large nut in his mouth. They were running around, digging around in the grass, checking on their caches, stuffing more stuff in their little hiding places. I wonder how they remember where they put things. Are they like bees? Do they have some sort of direction sense? Maybe they forget. Maybe other squirrels find it. Who knows? Well, squirrels serve a purpose. They hide their food for the winter, and sometimes they forget it and a tree grows there. I don't know. The whole scheme of life. Anyway, looking toward the future, looking toward shorter days, cooler days. I know I have friends who have gardens and they're canning massive amounts of tomatoes and other vegetables, again, getting ready for the wintertime. When I was growing up out in Dickson County, we had a garden, and my mother and my grandmother pickled, canned, froze. I mean, anything you can do to a vegetable to keep it for the winter months and for even a couple of years in advance was a great thing. It's fresh. You know where it's come from. It tastes fantastic because you grew it yourself. And to that end, I thought it was a great time for us to talk about quilts. Quilts. I love quilts. I love them. Now, some of you may be quilters. Some of you may like quilts. Some of you may watch quilting shows and think, I could never do such a thing. But it's not that big a deal, especially for people who love scavenging fabric. That would be me. Let's talk a minute about what makes a quilt. Now, I know you've seen a lot of really fantastic, artistic, beautiful quilts. Quilting has gone in directions our forebears could never have foreseen. Quilting is an art that translates into many, many cultures. It is a folk art. I like things that are folky. They're beautiful, they're simple, and they can be used in a practical way. That is the essence of any kind of folk music, folk art, folk painting, you name it. Something that comes from the day-to-day family community experience of people. Something that is beautiful but can also be used is very practical. And one of the most practical things there are blankets. I have a son who had a blankie. I mean, blankets are the ultimate comfort. They are a thing that is traditionally made and prepared by the women of the household to cover the family, to keep them warm during the winter time, to protect against the elements. You know, in an emergency, at an emergency scene, emergency workers will provide blankets to keep people from going into shock. Did you know that your dentist probably has blankets in his office because people are so terrified? Some people have a real fear of the dentist, and if you ask him or her, they will provide a blanket for you to cover up in the chair during a procedure because it comforts you. What is a big lofty blanket? A comforter. And that's what blankets do. Quilts are amazing. They allow you to use scraps of cloth that might have been thrown away or unusable, put them together and make something very usable. Quilts are amazing. So I'm going to show you my one and only large queen size quilt top that I made. And guys, it is gorgeous. I made it and I've 15, maybe 17, 20 years ago. The shame. So here's mine. It's red, white, and blue. It didn't turn out, the white was a little too white and it just looked a bit much. But as you can see, the white is toned down a little bit because I totally tea-dyed the entire thing. I felt like I was going out on a limb because that water is hot and I thought, oh great, I may ruin this quilt top before it ever gets quilted. But I was very happy with how it turned out. I figured, you know, if it's going to spend the rest of its days as just a quilt top shoved in a drawer somewhere, I might as well take a chance and see if I can make it into something that will actually motivate me to want to quilt it. So here it is. It's just a basic star pattern. I'm sure it's got a name, but I can't think of it because that's me. You can see that the white has a little bit of a detail in it that I was hoping that the tea dyeing would bring up. I'm actually considering dyeing it a second time, a little longer with a little darker mix, stronger mix of tea, because I was very happy with how it came out. But I'm going to need a much bigger bucket. It was quite a task. So there that is. Very proud of it. I'm feeling good that I'm going to get it quilted. And then the next picture is one of my very favorite quilts. It's red and white, red, white, and then it was just bits and pieces of fabric. Here you can see that they were made into 4 squares, blocks of 4, and then she just took strips of red fabric that she had and put them all the way down. You can see across the top there's a little white edge where she just used the edge of her backing and pulled it to the front as part of the binding. But obviously it has rounded corners, so she made it for a bed, probably for a single size bed for a child or just a person who, you know, people didn't sleep in beds that are as large as they are now back then. And this was probably made, looking at the vintage fabric, I would say, yeah, maybe 1960s, maybe, I don't know. And it could have been made more recently than that, and these were just bits of fabric that she had forever. This is a lighter quilt. It has a very, very thin batting inside of it. It has very little loft, and so it's great for warmer temperatures. So you won't get so hot under it. Now this next quilt is older, I think, and you can see with the tighter pictures that there's a lot more loft to it, that the batting is much thicker. When you sleep under this boy, you do not get cold. You can work yourself up a sweat, even in the wintertime. It's very warm. It's very soft. It's probably older than the first one, the red striped one. I can just, the fabric, a lot of it is very faded. It's very vintage fabric. It's super, super cool. I just love it. Those are some quilts that I have here in my house. I'm not quite sure who made them. I had a lot of quilters in my family. My grandmother, my stepfather's mother, quilted every winter. She would piece her quilts and have them ready for the winter time, and then she would set them up in a room and quilt all winter. One Christmas, she gave everyone in our family their own quilt. It was really, really cool. So she was a real devoted quilter, but she was what I would call a traditional quilter. She used what she had. She brought it together. She kind of made up her own scheme on how to do it. Now, here's some quilts from a quilting book I have. And they are amazing. Okay, this one is a crib quilt, and I think it's called Scenes from Childhood, and it's from the 1800s. And you can see that the design on there are squares, but within the squares are applique designs, pictures of things, scenes from a child's life, and also cats and dogs. I think there's a cow on there, and different flowers and things, and it's just very whimsical. It's very sweet. Lots of very meticulous handwork. Okay, it only goes crazy from here. This next one, I don't even know what it's called, but look at this close-up of the design. These are some swirly flowers and flower buds. This is all fabric somebody cut and stitched into place to make that amazing quilt. These quilts are known as autograph quilts, or what? It's like a memory. Oh goodness, I can't remember the word now, but it commemorates a place or a community, and it's usually put together by several people in the community and given to someone who is going to be leaving. And usually back in the 1800s, when somebody left, maybe to head west, maybe to move to a new city, it was a good chance you were never going to see that person again. So the community or the family or the friends or the church or whatever group, the women would get together, each one making a square. They would get together and quilt it together, and they would present it to the person who was leaving so that they would remember their life in that community, remember those people. A lot of times they would make little scenes of just things that were memories to that person. This one, you see a little caboose. I don't know what that is. Is that, oh yeah, it's being pulled by a little steam engine. Amazing. And that's all integrated into that larger quilt, with the eagle flying over it. Looks like a lyre, and lots of beautiful flowers put around it. There's all kinds of country scenes and people and animals and flowers and buildings, musical instruments, just anything that rouses memories of friends and family that are far away. But they can also be very simple, like this Amish quilt, just very basic. You can see that it's made to lay out on a bed. It's just a simple square surrounded by squares and rectangles, but here the colors are more vibrant, and it just really draws the eye into the center of it almost, even though there's just nothing there. So it kind of, for me, has a calming effect, very appropriate for going to bed. And then the last one is these gorgeous flowers. These, y'all, look these up. They all have names. I should have written them down, but I just feel like I can't remember everything. They're just beautiful. Let's just call them all beautiful. This one was pieced, the flowers, and then the stems and leaves were appliqued on. Again, piecing means, you put pieces together, Piece Home Studio. And applique is a fancy way of saying apply. You cut it out, you put it on there, kind of like that video tutorial I did not too long ago. I love applique. Some of the most original looking work to me is applique. It's basically drawing and coloring with fabric. And your imagination is the limit. You can go and go. You can quilt anything. And I've seen some very imaginative, very creative, very beautiful quilts, both old and new. So again, it's kind of stirring up that quilting season feeling in me, and it makes me want to quilt. Oh, but it's such a big venture. I'll get back with you guys and let you know how it went. In the meantime, we have this girl, and she may already be spoken for, guys. A little bird told me this morning that somebody was really interested in her. We've got a lot more coming. You might have noticed on Facebook that I posted a lot of bags. These are bags that have already been sold or given, but it just sort of showcases some more of the things I enjoy making, that I'll probably be having things like this on my selling sites, whether on my webpage, ConnieGMurphy.com, or on my Etsy page, which is yet to be born yet. Guys, I have to figure out how to package these things. I want them to go out to people and be really sweet, be a memorable moment opening them up and finding fun little surprises inside, along with that very, very special heirloom, handmade folk art thing that someone ordered from me and was made with great love and care. So let's see, what else did I want to talk about today? Well, I talked about folk art. I talked about the beauty, simplicity, and utility of things made by the common folk. Looking toward the future, dolls and blankets. I don't know. That sounds like everything to me, you guys. So everyone be sure and subscribe. That will make me very happy in my heart. Looking forward to a great weekend. Everybody be sure and push the subscribe button or the like button, or send me an email, or whatever it is you've got on your mind. Comment away. Be part of the discussion. Send me your great ideas and share them with the rest of us. Give us your brain. We love it. We want to know what you think about stuff. If you have some great ideas, look around, see what you've got, put it all together, and make something beautiful. Thanks for coming, and I guess I'll see you guys next week. Bye.